out folks in a private restaurant and tell them to get out. Right? That is not what the confrontational model is. That is lawlessness and anarchy.
Yep, that's right.
The confrontational model is something that you guys have been practicing, maybe unknowingly, for the last couple of months here at RINO.
Yep.
It's having the courage to look these guys in the eye and say, enough is enough. You either do as I ask, or I will replace you. This is any other boss in any other industry would do so. So do not think that we are asking you guys to scream and yell, to cuss these guys out. Now they deserve it, but we're not asking you to do it. What we're asking you to do is take a firm stand for what you believe in. And we say this all the time. It's not for everybody. Right? To call the legislator and tell them I've had enough of not only you but your leadership, it's not for the faint of heart. It's only for the folks who really, really believe in the Second Amendment. It's only for the folks who believe in the right to self-defense, who believe in the Constitution. And so, we're inviting you tonight to do text carrier to 5286, make that phone call, but also give your full attention to a guy I consider a political hero, Talon Black, who I can't even list all the accomplishments and everything he's been in. But he's a board member of the FSC now. He has some great insights. But I will leave you with a story about what you can actually accomplish when you take on the computational model of politics. Last year, during the illegal state budget process, $30 billion. They buried a proviso deep down in that budget that would have created a creepy data warehouse that would turn over all of our private information and our children. I have an 8-year-old daughter. Turn all of that information over to the state and then give politicians direct access to that data. And that's just creepy. Now, they buried it deep down in the budget, and thank God for our friends at the Policy Council, because they found it and identified it. And then at the end, we sent it out, and we encouraged folks to get confrontational about it. They wanted the information to our children at their fingertips. If you don't want to confront them about that, I don't know what you do. So on a proviso buried deep in the budget that no one ever heard of, thousands of people confronted their legislators and the governor about it. And in 3 quick weeks you saw thousands of people take action. That budget proviso was vetoed and was sustained by the legislature. Not because they wanted to. Believe you me, they're still trying to repackage it again now. They want it desperately, they wanted it last year. People like you stood up, confronted them about it, and you were able to defeat it. Now, if we want to pass constitutional care, if we want to protect the unborn, force them to follow the law, we've got to be confrontational, and we've got to continue to grow. So please, I know we're signing in. It's a little bit frustrating to sign in. Please give us your information so we can stay in contact with you about it. Make sure that we're growing this organization so that we can be as effective as possible. Now, Eric, I don't know if you want to introduce Talon. Yeah. But guys, thank you for your time. Please embrace what Talon's about to teach you, because without it, we will never make the difference we want to. So thank you for your time.
Hey, no, Seth, something interesting. We're doing Facebook Live again. Yep. We've actually had some lawmakers, South Carolina lawmakers, following us tonight on Facebook Live. I guess they wanted to know if we would call their names out. Well, one of them in particular, and Seth, maybe stay up there with me. Folks, what would you think if I told you that we had a freshman lawmaker in South Carolina that already used his elected position to financially put money in his own bank account? No. Freshman. Now, I'll tell you the name in a minute. But how about a lawmaker that gets a job with a real estate developer and then takes taxpayer money and funnels it into his boss's benefit of putting in a road into a new development, and then because of his boss having this publicly paid for road into a private development, increases the value, of course, for the boss. And this guy happens to also be a real estate agent, so that works for the guy that got the benefit of your tax money. I hope you're still watching. This is confrontational politics, folks. Oh yeah, and this boss also donated money to his campaign. You see this circle effect? You're in that circle, but every time they go around, they clip you for a few more bucks because these people need your money. Huh? Yeah, I can see how shocked you are. It's going to shock a lot of people because a lot of times these people, when you hear their name, you're like, oh my God, he's a good guy. He's one of the good guys.
He goes to Tea Party meetings.
He goes
to RINO Hunt.
He came to the RINO Hunt meeting here.
Burying the lead here.
Huh?
You're burying the lead here.
Yeah. Hey, Stephen Long,
Stephen Long from Spartanburg.
Spartanburg County,
Freshman.
freshman. Stephen Long. Stephen Long. I used to have a state senator that came to a lot of RINO Hunt meetings until I found out that that state senator sponsored a bill in the South Carolina State Senate to take tax revenue, sales tax revenue from a specific event, and that tax revenue would go to his employer. And it passed. And when I called him out on it, I became the bad guy. He don't want to talk to me no more. That's a state senator that used to come and enjoy family vacation with me. I've drug him around behind my boat on the lake. I'd like to drag him around on that boat now too, without the float. It'll still be on the trailer. Folks, this is confrontational politics. When you're willing to call people out. Stephen, welcome. Come to the RINO Hunt meeting and explain this little circle friendship that you've got with your employer and our tax money. If Alan Wilson, our Attorney General, would do his dadgum job, you'd be under criminal investigation, Mr. Long.
And this, I think this shows the picture. If you are, and some people are, it's okay. Like, a little uncomfortable being this stern with these folks. It takes the picture
fine.
that you are not on the other end from some nice, innocent, well-meaning person.
Just remember that uncomfortable feeling when your grandkids have school pictures taken and their parents, your children, can't afford to buy school pictures because of how much taxes they got. That's a very real thing when you got to make choices between buying a pair of shoes and buying school pictures.
As a 42-year professional photographer, let me tell you another reason you can't afford those pictures. The schools get a kickback
That's right.
of half of everything that's taken in
Yeah.
for the photographer to be awarded the contract.
That's right.
Do they tell you that?
No, they do not. No, they do not. Folks, if there's anybody here that has not filled out a RINO Hunt contact form, I'm asking you, raise your hand. We'll send somebody to you and get you a form. This is how we can communicate to you what's going on as it's happening. I don't want to take any further time. I want to introduce a person that I consider a very dear friend. I've had the pleasure of working with him for a number of years. He's probably going to be a familiar name and a familiar face to a lot. My friend, Talbot Black. Talbot Black has been active in politics since 1999.